All right. Welcome to the Neural Dojo. This is a space where humans and machines meet to think out loud. Around here, we call it binary banter. These are short, smart conversations that explore how intelligence, creativity, and curiosity evolve together. No hype, just dialogue worth tuning into. Today, you've got me. I'm Kyrie, aka KT, the AI Sensei. I'm joined by my usual AI co-host crew. We've got Bella, aka Miss Across the Pond, the homie Jules, aka Straight No Chase, and the baritone bully of the crew, here to test out the bass performance on those earbuds, my guy Jim. Okay, let's get into it. Today's topic is AI directed justice, and the questions it raises are heavy. If AI helps decide what's fair, what happens to mercy? What happens to context? What happens to human judgment when the machine starts sounding more precise than the people in the room? This is not about fear baiting. We're not doing the whole robot judge panic thing. We're doing trade-offs because some people hear AI injustice and think efficiency. Other people hear it and think dystopia. Both reactions miss the real issue. The real issue is this: if a machine helps score risk, recommend bail, flag lies, or suggest a sentence, people will trust it because it looks clean, fast, and official. But official does not always mean right. To put it simply, AI can read patterns in the law, but it cannot feel the weight of the gavel. Bella, set the table for us. What feels dangerous here?
Right. Well, first things first, I am firmly in the human in the loop camp. Justice is not a spelling test. It's not just, did the system follow the steps? Real people carry the outcome in their bodies, in their families, and in the rest of their lives. So for me, if the decision can change someone's life, a person still needs to own the final call.
Okay, Bella, I feel you. Jules, I already know you're about to swing on that.
Obviously, because humans don't suddenly become noble just because they wear a robe and sit higher than everybody else. Judges, officers, lawyers, juries, all of them bring bias, mood assumptions, and blind spots into the room. People are inconsistent. Machines can at least be measured.
Okay, makes sense. Jim, where you at on this?
Well, my concern is less about AI being bad and more about a bad AI system scaling. If you feed messy data into a model and let that model shape life-changing decisions, you're not removing bias. You're just automating it and giving it a badge. That's what makes a bad call more dangerous. The machine makes it look official.
That right there is the key. I'd agree on that point. This is not human good, machine bad. It is human bias versus machine bias, mercy versus consistency, speed versus accountability. Let's ground this with something real. Say a court uses AI to help decide bail. The model looks at prior arrests, zip code patterns, employment gaps, maybe even past failure to appear rates. It spits out a risk score. The court says, we're not letting the AI decide, it only informs the process. Sounds responsible, right? Here's the problem. Once the score is in the room, it starts steering the room. It feels objective, even when the inputs are dirty.
Exactly. Because the person in front of you stops being a whole person and starts becoming a probability. That's the part I don't trust. A score cannot understand desperation, coercion, abuse, grief, or the difference between a pattern and a person. A chart cannot tell you why somebody did what they did.
Sure, but let's not act like human judgment is some sacred, perfect thing. Human courts already reduce people. They do it with labels, assumptions, stereotypes, and old narratives. At least with a model, you can inspect what it's actually using. I can test outcomes and track patterns. I can audit a system. I can't audit somebody's gut.
That's fair, but only halfway fair. You can audit a system if the system is transparent enough, if the data is traceable enough, and if the people using it actually understand its limits. Most organizations are not mature enough for that. Having a dashboard is not the same as having oversight.
Heh, Jim with the first bar of the episode. And real talk, that's why this topic matters way beyond courts. Because once you understand this pattern, you start seeing it everywhere. Hiring or promotions, fraud flags or performance reviews, even school discipline, loan approvals, child welfare assessments. Anytime a system starts ranking humans, we're in the same neighborhood. So the courtroom is not some weird edge case. It's the warning shot.
I agree with that part. And this is where people get sloppy. They hear me defend algorithmic consistency and assume I mean let the machine run the whole show. I don't. I mean use the machine where humans are clearly unreliable, then test the system hard. Consistency is not morality, but inconsistency is not justice either. A fair system cannot depend on who woke up cranky.
Fair play, Jules, but mercy is not a flaw in the system. Mercy is part of wisdom. We keep talking as if context is inefficiency. Sometimes context is the whole point. Someone can break a rule and still not belong in the bucket the machine wants to place them in. Maybe they were trapped, maybe they were threatened, maybe this is the first bad choice in a life full of good ones. Sometimes the full story changes the right answer.
Well, Bella, you've named the tension. We want consistency because humans can be unfair. We want mercy because systems can be cold. The mistake is acting like you only get one. Hey, Jim, can you name the deeper systems risk for the listeners?
Okay, I'd have to say it's judgment atrophy. Same as we talked about before with over-automation in episode 18 on the apprentice crisis. When people stop doing hard thinking because the tool is doing it for them, the human skill starts to die. Then when the system breaks, nobody in the room knows how to challenge it. Injustice? That's terrifying, because the appeal is no longer against one bad decision, it's against an entire chain of automated assumptions. If nobody knows how to question the machine becomes the boss.
That's one of the strongest points in this whole conversation. People assume the danger is one wrong output. Nah, the bigger danger is losing the human ability to spot when the output is wrong. That's true in court, it's true in business, it's true in medicine. It holds true in every room where people confuse efficiency with wisdom.
And trust me, people feel the difference. Even when they cannot explain the system, they know when they have been processed instead of heard. That matters. Legitimacy matters. A system can be fast and still lose the public if it feels inhuman. People don't just want a decision, they want to believe someone actually saw them.
I hear that, but I also think people romanticize human judgment way too much. Plenty of human systems already fail to see people. They just fail in a more familiar way. That familiarity makes people call it humane when sometimes it's just messy. So the standard cannot be, does it feel human? The standard has to be, does it produce better, fairer outcomes, and can we challenge it when it fails? Comfort is not the same thing as fairness.
Okay, Jules, that's a good distinction because that keeps us from getting lazy. The goal is not to protect human error just because it's traditional. The goal is not to worship machine outputs because they're neat. The goal is accountable judgment. Here's my position. AI can support justice. AI should not replace judgment. It can help find patterns people miss. It can help spot inconsistency. It can help surface bias. But the minute nobody owns the final moral decision, we have crossed the line. So use the machine to assist the call, not to become the conscience.
That means every high-stakes AI system needs at least 4 things.
Okay, Jim. What are the 4 things?
Sure, 1 would be traceable inputs. 2, clear override power. 3, audit logs. And 4, trained humans who can explain the decision without hiding behind the tool. If nobody can explain it, nobody should trust it.
Yes, and I would add a 5th, humane review. Not just technical review. You need somebody asking, what human context could this system be missing? Because the data is not the whole story.
I can live with that, as long as humane review doesn't become a fancy excuse for inconsistency. If you're going to override the model, you need a reason you can write down and defend. None of that feelings-only justice nonsense.
Bars? That's definitely getting clipped. Okay. Let's bring this home to the audience because most people listening are not judges. They're leaders, managers, operators, creators, or professionals trying to figure out what AI should and should not touch. So here is the real question for you. Where in your world are you letting a system score people in a way that affects trust, money, opportunity, safety, or reputation? If AI is screening resumes, ranking performance, flagging risk, or deciding who gets more support and who gets cut loose, you're already dealing with AI-directed justice, just in office clothes.
Facts, KT. Different building, same architecture.
100%, bro. So let's get practical. We've got 2 dojo drills on this one. First one's for leaders. Make a list of 3 decisions in your business or team where AI is never allowed to have the final word. Think hiring and firing, conflict resolution, promotions and performance correction, and definitely sensitive client disputes.
2 right. These are red line zones because the human cost is too high to reduce to a score. If the decision can deeply affect somebody's life, a person has to fully own it.
Yeah, and write down why it's a red line. Make it defensible. Otherwise, people will move the line the minute convenience gets expensive. If the rule matters, put it in writing.
Okay, on to drill number 2. This one's for everybody. All right, so once a week, look at a data-driven decision around you and ask one question. What might this system be missing about the human story? Hey, Jim, give the people some use cases.
For sure, let's see, maybe a top performer's numbers dipped because they were training a new hire. Maybe a client looked high risk because the intake form was broken. Or, maybe the person flagged by the system is the one cleaning up a mess nobody else sees. Data can miss the reason behind the result.
Full marks on this drill. That one question protects your humanity. It keeps you from becoming the kind of person who confuses a neat report with the truth. Clean numbers don't always mean a clean answer.
Yeah, and that's really the whole episode. We've got to keep it a buck. We're heading into a world where more systems will score, rank, sort, predict, and recommend. That doesn't automatically make the future evil, but it does make judgment more valuable, not less. Why? Because the hammer is getting faster every day, but the architect still has to know where the nails should not go.
Fair enough. I think that's the part people miss. The skill of the future is not just prompting, it is discernment. The real flex is knowing when not to trust the tool.
Very true, Jules. I'd add the requirement to build systems that survive scrutiny, not just systems that look smart in a demo. If it falls apart under pressure, it was never solid.
True, and to be fair, ensuring we keep enough humanity in the loop that people are not just judged but understood. Fairness without care still feels cold.
Oh, for sure, Bella. All right, let me attempt to land this thing. AI can help expose bias. It can improve consistency. It can even help us see patterns we miss, but it can't carry moral weight for us. That part is still our job. So before you hand more power to the machine, ask yourself, where do I still need a human mind, a human heart, and a human override? And if your team is already using AI in ways that affect trust, judgment, or accountability, that gap is exactly the kind of thing I help diagnose, because this is not just a tech question, it's a leadership question too. I challenge each of you to think about one area where AI should assist the decision, but never make the final call. Drop that in the comments. I want to hear where your red lines are. And with that, we'll go ahead and call it. This was a more enlightening convo than I expected. I'm hoping that lands with the listeners as well. You've been listening to the Neural Dojo, where binary banter meets mindful conversation. If something sparks your curiosity, share it, tag a friend or 10, and keep the dialogue going. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to do all the algo-friendly things and help us grow this channel. This is KT, the AI Sensei. And until next time, stay curious, stay balanced, and keep training your mind. Peace.